Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us. And bringing you all the tools to dominate is Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountants. Give them a call, 215-369-3300, or visit them in person, 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania. Happy 23 gold medals for Michael Phelps, everybody. Woo! And 28 medals overall as the greatest Olympic athlete of all time rides off into the sunset. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Sitting to my left, so to speak, is my main man and A2D Radio's resident Pittsburgh fan, Mike Kleinkoff. And further to my left is the newest addition to the FDN team, Brian Daly, who dominates in all things fantasy sports. Matt Tensudi is bringing you all of the fantasy dominance from the producer's chair. What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you. What's going on?
Hey, just another beautiful day here.
Yeah, it is.
More fantasy football to talk about. This is what I love. This is what I live for.
Now, you had an interesting trip, I hear, down in Sea Isle.
Yeah, well, the trip itself wasn't so interesting. It was the day I got back.
Oh, it was when you got back.
It was when I got back.
You had a little run-in there, huh?
Had a little run-in at Fogo de Chao over in Philadelphia. Hanging out with my family. Getting ready to eat lots and lots of meat. If you have never been to that place, it's great. It's all you can eat. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But we're sitting there. We're waiting to get seated. And who should walk up from the downstairs area, which is the restroom area, is Phillies center fielder Odubel Herrera.
How cool.
That was cool. They must have just gotten off. Obviously, they just got off from the game. He was obviously there with his family. I wanted to say hi. I wanted to, do his little horn thing with him. But, he was out with his family. He was getting ready to have dinner. And, you don't want to really disrupt a celebrity or athlete when they're, getting ready to have dinner or while they're in the middle of eating. It's just, to me, it's a disrespect thing. And I think a lot of athletes see it that way, too.
It's mighty white of you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's good. It's good.
I'm tanner, so.
It's good consideration, though, obviously. Hey, he's always been a good fan-friendly player, but he's having private time with dinner, family.
Exactly.
You got to respect that. I get that.
Wait till he leaves the restaurant. Just watch him until he walks out to the way.
El Torito!
So what's good with you, Mikey?
Nothing. Just, work. And that's pretty much it.
I hear you're picking up another fantasy league with us.
I am, yes. I am joining, Doug's league with you guys, so we'll see how that goes.
Get ready for IDP research.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a segment on the show.
Going to have to.
Well, if you out there want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. If you got specific fantasy questions, we got specific answers. Tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. Mike, you are?
Mike_Kleinkoff.
And Brian?
Brian_A2D Radio.
I always read them off for you, and I'm like, hey, man, you guys got voices.
I'm lucky. I'm happy I remembered mine. I hate Twitter. I really do.
Mine's something along the lines of that.
Didn't I say last week that you were at Matt_Klein?
Yeah,
Because I'm just determined to rename you Matt. I don't know why. But anyway, we have a great show in store for you all with the Rio Olympics set to conclude on Sunday. We're recapping an exciting 2016 Summer Games and taking a look towards the remaining contests leading up to the closing ceremonies and who we may or may not see in Tokyo 2020. Alex Rodriguez may or may not have found a new home in his old stomping grounds, Miami. We'll get to the heart of that matter. Can he replace Giancarlo Stanton on your fantasy baseball team? No, but we will tell you who can, as Giancarlo is out for the year. We'll get into the injury update with Mr. Stanton. But the big topic of the day, who is the NFL's top quarterback and who should you grab first in terms of quarterback level in your fantasy football drafts? We asked you on Twitter at A2DRadio_com which NFL QB should be selected first in fantasy football drafts. Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or other. Maybe in our thumbnail you see Mr. Tom Brady, who suspended the 4 games. Do you still take a flyer on him, knowing that he is one of the best in the game? Maybe you can get a guy to fill in those first 4 weeks. So we'll get into the heart of the matter, absolutely. But first, we want to talk about the NFL. Who is the top quarterback in the game, Brian?
I think that's pretty easy. It's Aaron Rodgers. He just does so much with so little, and he makes it look effortless. And on top of it, He's got an insanely accurate arm, and he can run if need be. So to me,
he is a mobile quarterback, which is surprising.
To me, he's the best all-around quarterback in the NFL, no doubt.
Considering he looks like that guy that sits at the end of the bar at some dive establishment, drinking some Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever, looking like the common man, just born and bred with athletic ability. And you make a great point. Certainly, the man has a lethal arm, but can burn you on the ground.
Yep,
it's very true, very true. I like that. I mean, I'm always high on Aaron Rodgers, definitely getting Jordy Nelson back this year is only going to help him even more. I mean, he was working with his number one guy was Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
so,
he had James Jones last year, kind of sort of resurrected his career a little bit, at least in the first couple weeks.
Yep. He came back and had that, whatever. He had a huge game. It was 100-something yards receiving, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 or 3 touchdowns,
Yeah, I remember that. That was really the only thing he did good last year.
Yeah,
But still,
it
still brought his name back out in the spotlight. So
yeah, and he wound up getting signed by somebody. I forget where he went.
I couldn't even tell you.
Well, as for Mr. Rodgers, man, I mean, you look at his neighborhood over here. He has an accuracy of rated at 100, arm strength 100, athleticism, as we just talked about, 92, pocket presence 88, field vision 92, pre-snap, where getting the little hard count, getting the jump off sides, that presence, reading defenses, calling that audible 94. Certainly a little bit of a la Peyton Manning in that regard. Overall grade given to him by USA Today at 94.3, which was only good for second behind Mr. Tom Brady, who they ranked at 94.5. Now, of course, there's the situation where he suspended the first 4 games of the year as Deflategate reared its ugly head again, causing that disturbance. Now, in terms of the NFL, do you think that's going to slow down Brady in terms of his overall numbers? I mean, of course, it takes away 4 games for counting stats, but I mean, if you're looking per game, will that have an effect for the rest of the schedule, or does Tom Brady pick up where he left off?
It's Tom Brady. He's going to pick up right where he left off. He's going to start hurling touchdowns for 3 or 4. Probably a game.
Probably close to 400 yards a game, if not more.
Yeah, he's just it's going to be nothing for him. He's going to come back in week 5, and he's just going to start hurling the ball like he always does.
Yeah, I mean, I think they still have the bye week after that, too, so he is going to miss, a total, obviously, to 5 weeks. One of those, he's going to miss 5 weeks either way. But stat-wise, he's still got the 12 games he's got to play. So, I mean, he's going to miss out on what I would say probably close to 1,500 yards passing this year.
Right.
Missing those 4 games, which is, going to hurt his stat column there. But to me, when he comes back, just like Brian said, he's going to be lights out. I don't think anything's going to change. Hopefully Gronk stays healthy for him. They still got Amendola. They got Edelman. So
right.
I mean, they got guys like his units there.
Bennett this year as well. So
yeah. If the injury bug that we were speaking of before the show rears its ugly head with Rob Gronkowski, you have Martellus Bennett that could slide in there, which makes him an excellent sleeper, but we'll get to more of the fantasy implications. I want to talk about Tom Brady. We look at his his great shape, but let's not forget he's 39 years old. That athleticism is coming down. In this article for USA Today, they rated him at 73 in comparison to Rodgers' 92. And, arm strength, he's rated, Tom Brady's at 85. Rodgers is at 100. Accuracy, Tom Brady is one of the most in the game, 97, but you got Rodgers at 100. Here's where Brady really, exuberates presence, both in the pocket, field vision, pre-snap, all rated at 100, which gave him, 0.2% above Rodgers. I agree with you, Brian. I like Rodgers better, and it's specifically for this year. We talked about it a little bit last week, Mikey. He gets a huge weapon back in Jordy Nelson.
I think that's going to be the edge between the two quarterbacks. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Both quarterbacks easily top 2 in the game right now. Easily.
Definitely. You really can't argue it. I mean, you can argue it. There's other names.
There's other names out there. You can throw out like Cam Newton's name.
Yeah.
And
Russell Wilson.
They're
definitely those top 4. I think you can mix around.
But as I said, we hadn't even mentioned Cam Newton yet.
Yeah. And it's hard not to.
Yeah, number 1 fantasy point getter last year, had a phenomenal season. The Panthers were looking like they were going to go undefeated. And why haven't we talked about him yet? Any
I don't know.
particular reason?
I really don't know. And it's when I was writing down his stats today, I was like, why did I say Aaron Rodgers? You know? And, so I've always been so high on Aaron Rodgers because he's always been one of my, best fantasy quarterbacks. And, the guys that I'm playing, I don't want to play against them when they have Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
And, I'm looking at Cam Newton, and I'm like, he had 10 rushing touchdowns along with his 35 passing.
Right.
So he had 45 total touchdowns last year.
Which is more of a benefit when you're talking fantasy. I mean, of course, for the Panthers, they're going to love those touchdowns too. But if you're looking about who's the best quarterback all around.
With the vision and everything.
Right. In this USA Today article, they have Cam Newton at 5 with a grade at 89.1. And what really kills him, and this is something I picked up on, he's got a great arm strength, great athleticism, both ranked at 100 in here. Accuracy, rated 77, and I think that might even be a little high. His accuracy leaves much to be desired.
I don't think he's got the same kind of weapons, though, that Green Bay and New England has, especially on the offensive line. Don't get me wrong, Carolina's got a good offensive line. But I feel like Cam Newton's more of a run first, pass second type of quarterback. And I think his rushing touchdown total from last year kind of shows that.
Yeah, I mean,
especially down by the goal line.
Yeah. Well, forget about the weapons, though. I mean, even if they were pylons, you still got to hit them.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's easy when you got a guy like Jordy Nelson. I mean, he's got Calvin Benjamin, who's just coming back from injury.
They're both coming back from injury. So, I tell you now, his passing yard stats are going to go up. I think
agree.
with Cam Newton this year because Calvin Benjamin is coming back.
I think you're going to see him sit in the pocket a little bit more too.
It's going to open Benjamin up more too because you got Greg Olsen still, and then Benjamin on the outside. One of those two guys are going to be left uncovered every play.
Right.
So I mean, Jericho Cotchery, I'm pretty sure he's still there for another year.
I think he is, and he's still sort of
relevant.
relevant.
He had a great season last year. He played for the Steelers the year before, went to Carolina, had a great season with them. There was just too much depth for Cotchery to come out and show who he really was because of, all the great wide receivers on the Steelers.
And look who, filled in for Calvin Benjamin last year quite admirably, Ted Ginn Jr., who's got track-level speed. It's all about his hands. Can he hold on to the ball? As the season progressed, he started to pull those in. And then young player Devin Funches. That's another good. So he's got lots of numbers to throw to.
He's got a pretty good running back with Stewart as well. So, I mean, they got a good play action. And like you said, he's a run-first quarterback. He had 650 yards rushing almost last year. So,
yeah, I think he's got good weapons. He's got a good offensive line. With Calvin Benjamin coming back, again, I think he's going to sit more in the pocket. He's got that comfort level. He's got Funches, who's going into his second or third year?
Not 100% sure on
I'm not either. I know he's still young, but and then you got, like you said, Jericho Cotchery. He's got the weapons.
Yeah, he's a veteran.
You just got to get that comfort in the pocket.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to do that too. It's just like I know Rob's been saying that he's going to slow down his pace a little bit this year, which I think the touchdown number will definitely be a little bit lower. But I think overall, he's going to become more of a passer this year.
Funch's second year this year.
Second year,
it was rookie year last year.
So
I didn't want to interrupt when you were giving me some praise on points.
I agree with you. I just think 45 touchdowns overall is just a lot to do that again.
Right. So it's not that he's going to be bad, but there's going to be regression because that was such a lofty number.
Yeah, don't expect that many touchdowns. I mean, if he's there, I'm done. I'm done talking.
Mikey retires from the radio
business.
Yeah,
retire.
Well, two guys I got to bring up here in this discussion to see where they place at anymore because I see them ridiculously high in these rankings on this USAToday.com article. Your boy, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, who still has a rocket for an arm, and the offensive system with Sean Payton staying down there in New Orleans. Where do these guys rank in terms of, top quarterbacks in the league? Have they taken a step backward? I mean, Ben, I think, showed what he could do last year, even when pieces were in and out of the lineup due to suspension or injury.
His numbers were lower last year because of his injuries. I mean, but that's very typical for Ben to be hurt. That's the only reason it's scary to draft Ben because he gets hurt a lot.
Right.
But I think this year the offensive line is getting better. We're going to get Marquise Pouncey back this year, who suffered an ACL tear in week 1. So he's back, finally healthy. But, I mean, going to the other side with Drew Brees, he almost had 5,000 yards passing last year.
Right.
And, I mean, he's got Cooks, Colston, Lance Moore's coming back. So, I mean, he's got great targets. And Drew Brees is one of those. I think, to me, he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks that we really don't talk about.
Right.
So, Drew Brees, you can't go wrong drafting him.
Oh, yeah.
So.
You're talking fantasy. Absolutely, man. And certainly with that weak-ass defense that they have causes a lot of shootouts, which is going to benefit your fantasy team. On the gridiron in the NFL, I think Breeze doesn't measure up to some of these guys. And they have – what's funny is that they have guys like Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, and Ben Roethlisberger all behind Breeze at number 3. And I don't know if I agree with that anymore because – you're looking at he's 37 years old. His athleticism is down to a rating of 78. But what keeps Breeze relevant and in this discussion is the point that I detracted from Cam Newton, his accuracy. Rated 100 here, pocket presence 100. Just outstanding, and that's what keeps him relevant in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, and you know this from being a Steelers fan, how long have you seen him, or how many times have you seen him hold the ball 7, 8, 9 seconds back there when he should have gotten rid of it against everything you're taught as a quarterback, but just continually makes plays happen and then all of a sudden throws a bomb 46 yards to Antonio Brown.
I hate it. You don't understand the stress on Steeler fans, okay? I don't know what it is, but that's what I'm talking about with the offensive line. There's days where before he was getting wrecked. That's why he's battled so many injuries. But now that offensive line has been so good that he's been able to do that without many pressure coming towards him. And, it's great having wide receivers like Antonio Brown who can make another route where you could throw him that bomb.
Yeah.
He's got great wide receivers around him. And I want to bring up Sammy Coates. Sammy Coates, I have to say, had the worst first preseason game I've ever seen. And he's a guy that, other experts are high on for drafting this year because of Bryant being injured or being suspended for the season. So, I mean, we'll see what he has. There's still 3 more preseason games to go, but he dropped a lot of balls. He fumbled twice. So, just a guy out there. I know a lot of people are looking at him for fantasy, but right now, don't go for him.
Well, I mean, it's only preseason.
I know.
Most guys are
that's
just
what I'm
trying
saying,
to get
but
their
it's
feet wet and back into the groove of playing an NFL game.
Yeah.
And
But
see what happens week
you have
one.
Bruce Gradkowski throwing to you and you can't catch the ball. His arm strength is not that great, okay? Either is Landry Jones. It's not that great compared to Ben, and you're dropping balls already,
Sometimes you're used to catching the fastball. That off-speed pitch trips you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to use a baseball euphemism there.
I don't know. We'll see. He's got to step up, though.
Yeah.
He has to step up.
Right.
Marcus Wheaton's got him beat right now. But
Now, Brian, what's interesting about this list here is they have Russell Wilson down at 7. I think that's a little low. I mean, certainly if you're talking fantasy, that's real low. But he's one of our options in our poll. But, I mean, on the gridiron, do you agree with that assessment? Should all these other quarterbacks be ahead of Russell Wilson?
I mean, I feel like Russell Wilson's the same style of quarterback that Cam Newton is, run first, pass second, but he has the ability to make a play in the pocket. I don't know. I think he might be where he needs to be. He's losing weapons. He didn't have a stellar year last year like he did the year before. So, I mean, unless he really proves otherwise this year, I think 7 is not a bad spot for him.
Yeah, I can hear what you're saying, too. But, I mean, I think Russell Wilson is way more accurate of a quarterback than Cam Newton is. Where he fails is his pocket presence. I think Cam Newton has a lot better pocket presence, making that. But that being said, how many times have you seen Russell Wilson extend plays? A lot.
He's a very mobile quarterback.
What I think it's a little bit of the pocket presence. I think a lot of it is his field vision. His field vision isn't always that well. And, well, let's face facts. He is a shorter statured quarterback. So that's going to limit your field of vision.
Yeah. I mean, his accuracy comes from his baseball background, too.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I believe he got drafted by the Texas Rangers.
Correct.
So, I mean, that helps in his accuracy portion. So, and his athleticism is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I agree with where he is. I mean, who's his wide receivers anymore? He lost Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah. That's big because
He
that's a
lost
play
Golden
action.
Tate a couple years ago.
Yeah, Baldwin, no. He should still be there.
Doug Baldwin is still there.
Yeah, because he's the guy that, came out of nowhere last year.
And then you get a guy like Jimmy Graham who plays tight end for you. He was easily top 3 in tight ends in all of football. And
Yeah, you don't
really utilize them.
You got Doug Baldwin. You got Jermaine Kearse, who was outstanding last year. He's a good young talent. Tyler Lockett, another young receiver. So a lot of guys that need to come of age, and we'll see if they come of age to support Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Brian brought up a nice name in Jimmy Graham. I think this year he's coming back from that knee injury that he actually suffered against the Steelers. But I think this year he's going to have that actual full season with that offense now, and he's actually going to be ready. I think that, companionship between him and Wilson are going to be better this year.
No, absolutely.
Because he went there and his stats sucked.
No, it's true. Like you give him Drew Brees, and Jimmy Graham knows how, or Drew Brees knows how to use Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
I guess it's Russell Wilson trying to figure out how to use him.
Yeah.
I mean, Drew Brees had him for how long?
Some years.
Some years. He had a few years to figure out Jimmy Graham, and he's not a small player. I feel like it'd be easy to find him.
Right.
He's a beast.
Last question before we pay some bills, gentlemen. Does Tony Romo still belong in the top 10 of quarterbacks in the league, or is that back injury or him coming in very out of shape really take him out of the top 10?
I mean, believe it or not, I actually have him in my top 10 in the number 10 spot.
Right.
I mean, his regular season stats are great. It's just when it comes to playoff time with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
And when he's healthy, he's damn good.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the NFL overall. We're not talking fantasy. On the other side, we're going to get to our top 10 fantasies and see how they compare to what we just broke down now. But in the NFL, does he belong as a top 10 quarterback anymore?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mikey?
It's hard because I think if you give him a full 16-game season, I think his stats will show that he does prove to be in the top 10. But it's just he's like another Ben Roethlisberger. He's always hurt.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is
and that's
can the guy stay healthy? If he can stay healthy,
I think
absolutely.
if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be a big surprise this year in the NFL.
I want to say it, but it's not
do.
going to happen. That back is no good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And he gained a lot of weight this offseason,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I heard that.
Enter Dak Prescott, who's
Yeah.
been impressive
Hey,
so far.
he did pretty damn good game one.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. So, yeah, like I said, on the other side, we're going to get to our top 10 fantasy quarterbacks you should be drafting in your list. We'll give the poll results that we asked you on Twitter, who should be drafted number 1, the first quarterback off the board. All this is being brought to you by the BMW of Atlantic City dealership, and they challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them online, bmwatlanticcity.com. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back to the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com. You want in on dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. Got Mike Kleinkoff in the house, Brian Daly, Matt Tensudi on the ones and twos, and Rob Povia bringing the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now. Now, speaking of parties, we have an upcoming party. There's only one place to call, and that's Liberty Event Rentals. They provide tents, chairs, tables, linens, the whole works, and they deliver. Give them a call, 267-314-7368. So, gentlemen, we talked about who are the top quarterbacks on the gridiron. Well, who are the top quarterbacks on my computer screen that maybe we should be drafting in the upcoming draft? So we're going to go from 10 to 1. Actually, I got a couple guys that I really wanted to put in my list, but I just couldn't. I was set at my 10, but just outside the top 10, I'm really high on Blake Bortles this year. I'm really high. And I almost wanted to throw him in my top. Do either of you gentlemen have Blake in your top 10?
Number 10.
Number 10 you have him at. Yeah, and that's a good pick, man. I mean, he showed what he could do last year. He put up some phenomenal numbers, 35 touchdowns, 4,400 yards. I don't want to take away steam from your number 10, but I think that's only going to go up this year if that's at all possible. And, just with the weapons and also with the defense improvements that the Jags have made is going to create more opportunities for the offense.
That's what it's all about. It's a shorter field now for the offense.
Right.
So,
I mean, I thought about Blake Bortles. I'm not going to lie. He did have a stellar year last year, but I want to see what he does this year. I want to see if he can repeat the same stats as he did last year. I mean, the wide receiving core hasn't changed a bit. I don't think their offensive line has changed a bit. Who's their tight end? I'm blanking on who their tight end is.
No.
It was Mercedes Lewis, but I think he got not replaced, but I think they brought somebody else in.
Oh man, you're all these brain farts today.
That's why it's good to have the laptop. Julius Thomas. How
Julius
can we forget
Thomas,
Julius
yes.
Thomas?
Well, it's because he sucked last year. He was hurt for like the first 4 or 5 games last year, and then his numbers were just awful.
And they do still have Mercedes Lewis too.
They
for a
do. I
two-tight
know
end
they
set.
still had
Yeah.
him, but
Yeah, but yeah, you make a good point. Like they got him hot pickup from
Denver,
Denver, one of the top tight ends in the league, and then he disappeared. Certainly in fantasy.
Oh,
He
yeah.
disappeared
I mean,
last
it
year.
didn't help that he was hurt the first couple of weeks, but I mean, his numbers sucked.
So you want to talk about resurgence? With you mentioned Jimmy Graham on the other side. Here's another example of a guy that could have a resurgence too in the tight end department.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I mean, to me, Blake Bortles is one of the greatest up and coming quarterbacks in the league. I mean, the year before, I think he sucked.
Right.
Last year, he had one of the greatest seasons for a
Right.
rebound season. So I'm hoping that he's going to repeat. I mean, depending where I'm drafting and who's available, I wouldn't hesitate to take Bortles. So
I don't think many people are going to take him first,
No.
depending on the league that you're in. But
Yeah.
you can definitely pick him up for a second quarterback.
Oh yeah, I mean, I some leagues I think you could have him as a first, depending how deep your league. Definitely 12-team league, I would take him.
Especially if your strategy is to fill up all your skill positions, get your wide receiver set, get your running back set, get a tight end, and then you go to quarterback. Well, maybe Blake might not be there at that point, but
I mean,
somewhere
it's
in the
possible.
middle, yeah.
But another guy that I don't have in my top 10 and I'm always high on is Matt Stafford.
Right.
Every year he puts up unbelievable numbers. I mean, it sucks that he doesn't have Megatron this year, but
It's now we're going to see whether or not what we saw with Megatron was the real Matt Stafford, or if the real Matt Stafford's going to show himself this year.
Megatron last year had like one of the worst seasons, other than the one game where he had like 3 touchdowns. But that was against the Eagles. That was against the Eagles defense. That's pretty funny that I remember that.
Wasn't that the snowball or whatever they called it?
No, that was a couple of years before that. I'm pretty sure, because I'm pretty sure LaShawn
McCoy stole the show that
still on the team. So
real quick, we talked about it before the show, and we were going to actually lead in with it a little bit, but we got right into the juicy discussion. The Eagles acquired 2015 second-round pick Dorian Green Beckham from the Titans today in a deal that really, I think, benefits the wide receiver core of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Agreed. The Eagles don't have very many.
Their wide receiver staff
I was going to say big wide receivers. I mean, they got Jordan Matthews, but everybody else isn't really all that.
Yeah, Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, he's tall. He's not really big.
He's not really.
But they bring in a 6'5"
showing
guy.
what he was supposed to be.
Right. They gave up guard tackle Dennis Kelly in the deal. I mean, I'm not familiar with Dennis Kelly. I'll be the first one to admit that. But that, to me, I think seems like a really good deal for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Seems like it, especially for a position that I think they really need help in.
Yeah, because to me, I'm pretty sure that was Mariota's favorite wide receiver too.
Yeah.
He was definitely up there in that stat department. He was one of those, going into daily fantasy, was one of those cheap picks for Beckham. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I think definitely, like everybody's saying here, it definitely benefits the Eagles more than it does the Titans.
Certainly. So getting back to the quarterbacks, just wanted to make sure we did cover that a little bit. We are a Philadelphia-based station after all. But bringing it back nationally to the fantasy world. So number 10, you had Blake Bortles.
Yes, I mean, 35 touchdowns last year. 18 interceptions are high. I think he is going to get better this year. He's going to be smarter with the football, but 4,400 yards passing as well, so he's right up there.
Well, from watching Red Zone religiously every Sunday, a lot of those 18 were deflection. So I do see that going down immediately, and then, of course, another year's experience. Absolutely.
Yeah, I still think he'll probably get like 12 to 15 interceptions this year, but what do you expect from a young quarterback?
Absolutely. Brian, who's your number 10?
This is subject to change, but right now it's Tony Romo. Tony Romo puts up good numbers every year. 2014, he had over almost 4,000 yards passing, 34 touchdowns, passer rating of 113.2. His big problem is staying healthy. But when he's healthy, he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. I'm not going to go too homerish. I do see that he could still put up mad yards with Dez. It's just all about does that back stay healthy enough for
Yeah,
16 games?
that's a big thing. His collarbone, which I think he broke twice last year.
Yes. Both by the Eagles.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's got weapons. He's got Des Bryant. He's got Jason Witten, who's his favorite target and still is.
Yeah.
Jason Witten still puts up the numbers.
Yeah.
So,
Terrence Williams, up and coming wide receiver in this league. Yeah, it's all going to be about health. I don't have Romo in my top 10, but it just because of a risk for the injury. I get very skittish about players. You mentioned Ben before.
It's hard.
Right, because you put too much stock in that quarterback. But if I can get him late in drafts, I'll pick up Tony Romo. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, he's definitely he's not the starter anymore. He's not. You're going to be your every week starting quarterback, but
Right.
Yeah, you got to look at defensive matchups.
Right.
With that.
Yeah.
A guy that can be your number one starter, and maybe it's a little bold of me. At number 10, I'm throwing Tyrod Taylor there.
Okay, I'm not the only crazy one. I don't have him in my top 10, but I was going to talk about him before. I'm going to let you finish saying what you were going to say, though.
No problem, man. Maybe we're drinking the same Kool-Aid here, but I like Tyrod Taylor. I like his maneuverability. He had 568 rushing yards on 104 attempts last year. Still threw for over 3,000 yards with 20 TDs, but the important thing is the ratio, 20 TDs to 6 interceptions. That's a great ratio. He had a quarterback rating of 99.4, and he's only at 27. You think he's been around for a while because he has been for a while.
He's been like fourth string quarterbacks for teams.
Right. I really feel that, his progression, his chemistry with Sammy Watkins is only going to get better. And they have even a guy like Chris Hogan build up chemistry. There are a lot of talented wide receivers there in Buffalo. And then according to Ballers last night, Ricky Jarrett might be in a fantasy world, in a fictional world. But no, Tyrod Taylor, I think if you wind up going for some other positions and you get him as your number one quarterback, you'll be okay. You'll absolutely be pretty good.
I personally, last season, had Tyrod Taylor. I picked him up because Ben got hurt. I can't tell you who my back. Oh, Flacco was my backup.
Right. Audubon zone.
And he sucked for fantasy stats last year. He's an okay quarterback, but his fantasy stats are horrible.
Right.
But Tyrod Taylor, he averaged me almost 25 points a game last year.
Nice.
And I know Tom's a big critic on these quarterbacks, but he was making fun of me week in and week out with having Tyrod Taylor as my starting quarterback, and like I said, he almost averaged me 25 points a game. That's more than what some quarterbacks are putting up.
As long as I'm getting 20 to 25 points from the quarterback, I don't care what the hell your name is.
Exactly.
We're going to take a 10-second timeout, let you know who's broadcasting us. We are Fantasy Dominance Now.
You're listening to A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2D Radio. At A2DRadio.com.
Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, Rob Povia, Matt Sinsudi bringing you all the dominance on the ones and twos. Now, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet us with the hashtag AskFDN. So, who's your number 9, Mikey?
Going with one of the older guys, one of the draftees of the 2004 draft, along with Ben and Eli Manning. I'm going with Phillip Rivers.
So that's where he was another one that was just outside my top 10 because he religiously always puts up solid numbers.
Phillip Rivers last year actually scored the most fantasy points in his career last year. And, Allen's really the only guy that I know that he could throw to. Obviously Antonio Gates, he had Ladarius Green last year as well, but he doesn't really have too many big names other than those two. He's got Danny Woodhead, who's, he does the drop passes, but last year almost 4,800 yards passing, 29 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. So, like I said, last year was the most fantasy points that he's scored. So, Phillip Rivers, he's very consistent.
Not a bad one.
Year in, year out.
What's funny is I have another aging quarterback at number 9 too, but it's from the desert out in Arizona, Carson Palmer.
Okay.
He's a guy that he stays healthy. He could be even top 5 in terms of fantasy production. Last year, 35 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. over 4,600 yards and a QB rating of 104.6 because he stayed pretty darn healthy. He played in all 16 games for the Arizona Cardinals. If that replicates again, man, it could be higher on the top 10, but I'm putting him right there at 9 because I think if you go into your draft and you get yourself 2 good wide receivers, you get yourself a guy that gets the lion's share of the ball in running back, then go get yourself Carson Palmer. It's the way I would go about it if I were drafting right now, and I will be soon. Brian,
let me write this down. How are you going to draft? I got to know your strategy now.
Am I in a league with you?
Well,
yeah.
With Doug's now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't count that league.
Are you officially in that yet?
Yeah, well, I got to wait for my email.
So he might not even be in it yet.
Yeah. So technically I'm not in it yet, but I was told that I am taking over a team.
Yeah, well, you can take notes all you want, but when the game day comes about, it's always a different strategy, especially in IDP leagues, and it's also a keeper league, too.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that.
I think I know my 2 guys that I'm keeping. One's easy.
Nice.
One's easy.
Nice. Who's that?
Gronk.
How
can you not?
How can you not?
But
Gronk?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have a toss-up between, I'm pretty sure it's Edelman and Eric Decker.
That is a tough one.
I think I go touchdown Decker.
Yeah,
It's tough. I know we're now in the same league, so it's hard to share what you would want to share.
Right.
But Brady being out 4 weeks, Fitz is back. I think I got to go with the Jets guy.
Yeah, I think that might be a good bet because I believe, if memory serves me correctly, Doug's league is a half-point PPR, not a full point. If it was a full point, I'd go Edelman.
Yeah.
Half-point touchdowns become a little bit more relevant, and Decker's still going to pull him in.
He had 14 last year.
Right.
So.
Right. Absolutely. Brian, number 9.
Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton, huh?
Andy Dalton from Cincinnati. He's
the Amish rifle.
Yeah, man. He's a very consistent quarterback. Last year, he threw over 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, quarterback rating of 106.3. And he's always got a weapon. He's got A.J. Green. He's got Sanu. He picked up somebody else. I can't remember who it is, but slot receiver's usually pretty good. He's got Gresham, a tight end. He's got weapons to throw to. He's got Eifert too.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he playing this year though, or did he get hurt in the Pro Bowl?
I thought he was playing.
I forget what tight end was it. Kelsey? Was it Kelsey that got injured?
I think it was Kelsey.
Kelsey. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was Kelsey or Eifert. I know it's one.
Brandon LaFell.
Brandon LaFell. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
You know what? I just learned that now. I'll be dead honest with the listeners. I did not know LaFell went to the Bengals, man. That's a sleeper wide receiver to pick up.
It's going to open up either one, so it's going to open up either A.J. Green or LaFell now. So.
No doubt.
And the beauty part about Andy Dalton is, yes, he's a great regular season quarterback. Can't rely on him in the playoffs. The pressure gets to him. But he consistently puts up 3,000 or more yards every single season.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much him in the playoffs. I think it was just that they beat us cold hard right there. They had the game in their hands until, Dummy Perfect and, Dumb 1 and Dumb 2 comes in and, takes 2 personal fouls. We get the ball back, go right down the field, kick the field goal, win the game.
Right.
They had us beat. They had us beat.
Out Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
He was out before he even hit the ground.
Oh, yeah. If you see somebody's arms shoot out like that, when you look into the helmet, his eyes are closed. He was out.
He was out.
And,
you just watch his entire body just go limp.
Pac-Man's over there. Yeah, he was smiling at me on the ground. Yeah, bullshit. I don't believe that one bit. Dude, the guy was sleeping.
Pac-Man.
I hate the Bengals. Usually the rivalry between the Ravens gets me, but anymore I cannot stand the Bengals.
Well,
I just can't take
Pac-Man Jones still hasn't learned from the NFL to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to get off track, so. I know.
It's all good. That's what we do here at Fantasy Dominance Now. We want to welcome Dimitri, a good buddy of mine, tuning into today's show. Definitely. He always tunes back in when it's fantasy football season. A lot of my friends were like, I really don't got time for fantasy baseball,
It's
but
too much.
fantasy football. But DJ Rogo, what's up? I want to give a little shout out. All right, so number 8, Mikey, go for it.
Number 8, this is where I put Carson Palmer. I think, like you already pretty much explained it. He's overall one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Like you said, almost 4,700 yards passing last year. If he stays all 16 games this year, he's the guy. he's definitely going to throw up great numbers. So that's pretty much all I got to say.
Sweet. Brian, number 8.
This is where I put Russell Wilson. His production last year was really good. 4,000 yards passing, 34 TDs, 8 interceptions, passer rating of 110.1. The guy can hurl the ball. The guy can play. It's just a matter of can he stay in the pocket? And if he can stay in the pocket and become more of a pocket passer and not rushing so much, I think he goes up that list even more.
Yeah, I can see that for yards totaling or what have you. I mean, I think it's key that Russell Wilson needs to be a ground threat in order to keep the linebackers from cheating a little bit, or maybe even causing them to have to come up a little bit, so thus spreading out the secondary so he can pick it apart. So needless to say, you did not vote for Russell Wilson in the number 1 quarterback that should be picked in
No,
fantasy
I did
drafts.
not. I did not.
Which you can out there do right now, right at A2DRadio_com, which NFL quarterbacks should be selected first in fantasy football drafts. We gave you Cam Newton, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or someone else. We'll get to the poll results right at the end of this segment. We're going to get to it right away this week. So my number 8, and I'm drinking Brian Wilson's Kool-Aid on this from Agree to Disagree, and he makes a lot of good points. My number 8 quarterback this year is going to be Eli Manning, New York Giants. I mean, he's got weapons out the wazoo. I mean, the biggest one, ODB. I don't think there's any argument there that he's one of the top 3 wide receivers in the league, if not the top. Last year, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. With Eli are going to come the interceptions. That's just what comes in the package. But he put up over 4,400 yards. The passer rating was 93.6 because a lot of the incompletions and interceptions. But those 2 things may go down this year because you're going to have a healthy Victor Cruz on the other side.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe I'm counting my chickens before they hatch. But I just, Wilson comes out and says he'll have, I believe he said over 40, 45 touchdowns. No, 40. I'll just quote him at 40 touchdowns and 35 last year. It's
I mean,
distinctly
7 of
possible.
them came against the Saints.
Right.
So you can't really credit them too much for 7 touchdowns.
That's like a Polk High story right there from one Al Bundy.
Breaking news, by the way, Papelbon is expected to be signed by a team within the next 24 hours. Teams are very interested in him.
Yeah, I think he said he's got 5 teams.
Yeah, so maybe he'll come to us. We have Tony Watson closing games right now, so
it's a possibility.
Yeah, because he got seated from his position by Melancon, right? Yeah, Melanson, excuse me.
Melanson. He's got many different ways
Melanson.
to say his name.
Right. So, I mean, that would be only apropos. But, yeah, plenty of teams in the league looking for a closer right about now heading into a playoff push, which really more teams are always in that playoff push with the second wild card. So, yeah, he should be a pretty hot commodity. Thanks for that, man. Sue, okay, so I gave my number 8 I capped off number 8, so we'll move on to number 7. I'll double dip here. My number 7, Tom Brady. We talked about him earlier in the show. One of the best quarterbacks in the league. I put him at number 7 because of the 4-game suspension, only playing 12 games. I wouldn't even mind if you grab him and then grab a guy like Blake Bortles if he's still available, or maybe even a more of a sleeper type quarterback to occupy that first 4 weeks. You could be set for your fantasy football season.
I agree with you 100%. But I'm going to let you go, Brian.
Oh, you're so kind.
I know.
My number 7 is Phillip Rivers. I originally had Matt Ryan there, but I'm like, he lost a weapon. He's lost a step or 2. He's really only really good at home
He's
anyway.
not Matty Ice anymore.
He's not. No, he's really not. But Phillip Rivers came up just short of 4,800 yards, 29 touchdowns. His interception needs to go down a little bit, put up 13. His QB rating needs to come up a little bit too, but he's got some weapons out there in San Diego. A healthy Keenan Allen is really going to help all his stats just keep climbing and climbing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I had him at 9, so not far off from me. But number 7, this is where I put Eli Manning.
Okay.
And I'm a little more high on him, obviously, because of Beckham. Like you said, Cruz coming back, hopefully, for them anyway. But Sterling Shepard, he's going to be probably the best rookie wide receiver out there this year. And, Eli Manning's he's a great quarterback to learn off of. So, Sterling Shepard, he's already been lights out. He's already being compared to the next Victor Cruz. So we'll see about that, and that's probably where Brian Wilson's getting all these numbers from, because if those 3 guys are on the field for a full season, the Giants might have the best offense other than maybe their running back core, but best wide receiver core out there.
Absolutely.
As much as I don't want to say it. We played them. We played them this year in Pittsburgh. I was thinking about going, but
Well, speaking of Pittsburgh, my number 6 quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, I think that's a good place to slot him in. He loses a weapon this year. No Martavius Bryant, but you still got Antonio Brown, who, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah.
Marcus Wheaton is nothing to sneeze at either.
No.
Great talent.
Great sleeper this year.
And if he can be healthy, Ladarius Green was a great pickup for the Steelers. What is the status of that injury right now?
I actually, from last week, we talked about how much I like him. This week, I really hate him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a scumbag.
Yeah?
Yeah. He now he's talking about all of his headaches. Oh, I forgot to tell you after I signed my guaranteed contract that I have severe headaches still from all my concussions in San Diego. He missed 2 games last year in San Diego with concussions, and now he's feeling those effects again. I just don't think he wants to practice. I think he just wants to play.
Is that what it is?
I think that's
He's
what he is. He's a
brat.
little bitch.
Man, I'm thinking about not keeping him now.
I don't want to steer you in that direction, but he's already on the PUP list because of his ankle.
Right.
And with these headaches now that he's getting, the fact that Mike Tomlin's calling him out is a problem.
Right.
So we'll see. I would love to see him on the field because we need a tight end. Jesse James isn't going to do it for us.
The outlaw?
Yeah. So.
Right on. Well, Ben's still going to put up sick numbers for your fantasy team, so I would put him at number 6. Mikey, who's your number 6?
This is where I threw in Tom Brady. I have him here. I mean, obviously, his numbers are going to be a little low, but it doesn't matter because after week 4, he's going to be Tom Brady, So you're not going to be hurt picking him. Like you said, a guy like, Matt Stafford or somebody like Matt Ryan to have for those first couple weeks, and then when Brady comes back, you'll have Tom Brady, and then if Brady goes down, you have Matt Ryan or Matt Stafford.
Sure.
So you're not going to be hurt with having one of those guys. So, to me, I would still pick high on Brady.
Yeah, I feel you.
So
picking up what you're putting down, Brian?
This is where I put Eli. Originally, I had Joe Flacco here, but after actually looking at his stats, I was like, nah. No, but for all the reasons you guys said, and also the fact that Eli Manning was in a banana suit video.
Ooh.
I don't know if any of you guys saw that.
I don't know if I want to.
It's very entertaining. Yeah, banana suit, Maddie. I'll have to see if I can find it for you guys. It's pretty entertaining.
That's great.
But for all the reasons you guys said, Victor Cruz is coming back, Odell Beckham Jr. Even without Victor Cruz, he still puts up numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, he's got Odell Beckham, so
yeah,
that's all you need.
Absolutely. So you guys want to stay at the top 5 for the other side? Do a little tease?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
A little tease. Well,
I like it.
Let me tell the people who they said they would pick as the first selected quarterback in fantasy football drafts. It was a very close contest. A lot of people chiming in. Thank you so much for voting. 38%, Aaron Rodgers would be the first quarterback off the board. For a while, behind Aaron Rodgers, it was Russell Wilson. I was following this poll very closely, but at this stage, Cam Newton shot ahead of him at 30%, Russell Wilson 23%, and 9% said someone else, which is interesting because, maybe they're thinking Brady.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That they're willing to take that chance on the 4,
Yep.
Maybe they're really selling high on a guy like Ben Roethlisberger or what's his name? Man, I'm tongue-tied. Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Thank you. Also, Andrew Luck. He might come into the conversation, too, as making a rebound from really subpar 2015. So we're going to see where all these guys line up in, our top 5 on the other side. And all of this is being brought to you by the Sports Outlet. For all your sporting needs, you can go visit them 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-939-2030. Or look them up online, sportsoutletinc.com. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
That's got to be my favorite lead-in. Well done, Matt Sensudi on the ones and twos. Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, yours truly, Rob Povey, bringing you all the fantasy dominance. Now, if you want in on the dominance, you like us on Facebook, you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. And bringing you all the dominance is a really dominant automobile. The BMW of Atlantic City dealership challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive. Just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to. Minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway or online, BMWAtlanticCity.com. To emulate my man over here, Mr. Sensudi, who you'll be able to hear at 1:30 on these airwaves with the Hockey Happy Hour. Brian Daly and myself double dipping today, as we always do on Tuesdays.
Love my Tuesdays.
When you join the Happy Hour?
When I got time.
Let's call it like it is. When your girl maybe is on a trip with her family and you got some time.
Exactly.
You can spend a little time in the stand. Hey,
Tuesday's girl day, so.
I admire that, man. You make time. You know what I mean?
I have to. I can't anymore. She doesn't work with me. I don't see her at work. I don't see her at work anymore. So
right.
The only time I got is my days off.
Balance, baby. Balance. Career,
got
relationship. Money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't even censor myself. I could have said pussy.
Yeah, you can, actually.
Right.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Say it all the time on MMR.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. All right, so let's get back to the fun. All right, our top 5 quarterbacks you should be drafting in your fantasy football leagues. Brian, start off number 5.
My number 5 is Mr. Drew Brees. Despite the fact of his age and his shitty defense, to say the least, the guy puts himself in a shootout every week. He has a huge fantasy value. He had almost 5,000 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, which I feel like is a little high for Drew, and a passer rating of 101 flat.
Yep.
So the guy can throw the ball. He's got weapons. He's got Lance Moore coming back. He's got who's his running backs? He's got Mark Ingram
and C.J. Spiller, the
C.J.
Ghostface
Spiller.
Killer.
Yeah,
So
he
he's got plenty of targets. He needs another tight end. But
Yeah.
you can't replace a Jimmy Graham right away.
No.
It's tough.
Yeah, but I mean, Drew Brees easily still a top 5 quarterback.
Josh Hill, though, is he's a good talent at tight end. So I think, is he Jimmy Graham back in his heyday? No, but a lot of athletic ability. He can go up and get that ball in the red zone. Don't forget about Willie Snead. Willie Snead was one of the guys that helped my fantasy team out huge last year.
I had him as well last year. That was one of the greatest pickups. He ends up falling off at the end of the season, but towards the middle, that's when he was great, and then he was averaging that like 1.7 a game, and I was like, all right, you're done.
Right. Well, for all the reasons Brian gave, and acknowledging the weapons he does have, I too have Breeze at number 5. Who do you got number 5, Mikey?
This is where I threw in Big Ben. I mean, for all the right reasons. I mean, obviously I'm a little more high on him because I'm a Steelers fan, but how can you not be with the offense around him?
I had him number 6. I mean, you're talking apples and green apples here.
Yeah.
So.
So we're going to hope Ladarius Green Apples is actually playing. But, I mean, obviously, AB, Marcus Wheaton, you can't forget about Darius Hayward-Bay. He's a guy, he actually scored the touchdown in the preseason game. But, we got young Sammy Coates. I already had my rant on him. We're going to hope that gets a little stickum on his gloves. But, he needs it. He's a young kid, but he's a great talent. So he's supposed to be big this year. We're going to hope that he comes out of that shell and plays great. But then again, Jesse James isn't bad, but he's not Ladarius Green yet. So for all those reasons, Big Ben, he could be higher to me if he stays healthy.
Understood. Number 4, Brian, take it away.
This is where I put Carson Palmer.
Wow, number 4.
Number 4. He had a spectacular year last year. He's got Larry Fitzgerald, who is still in my mind is still in the top 10 for wide receivers, and he proved that last year. And he's got young guys coming in here that are doing wonderful things too. So he's got targets. He's got people to throw to, guys with good hands. He's sticking it in their gut.
He's got
Threw
some
for
things.
35.
He's got some things. Yeah.
He's got some things. A couple haters.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little high if I'm ranking the top 10, just because of age. We brought it up before. There's always going to be a depreciation unless it's a BMW from Atlantic City. But I don't know. I mean, you look at Breeze. He's 2 years Brady's junior. Carson Palmer is rocking out the age. Let me see. Where's he at? He's at 36, so he's still younger than Brady too. So I'm kind of supporting your argument. I'm just thinking, I don't know. Now, you can't foresee injury, right? But you can foresee skill starting to depreciate.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going out there every day and you're doing what you need to do to get ready for each game, practice, training camp, all that other stuff, the age is only a number.
Yeah.
Age is only a number. And I know this
Look at
isn't really
Yager,
relevant.
right?
Well, that's actually who I was just about to bring up. Look at Jaromir Yager.
I always take Brian's points away, but it's because we're right here.
We
That's
are.
why. That's
Age
why.
is only a number.
Yeah.
Yager says he's in the best shape of his life now.
Right.
Carson Palmer, I think, had one of the best years in his career last season, and he's like you said, he's 36 years old. So you never know what can happen. These guys can. I realize you can't play football much longer past 40 because your body can't really take that beating, but the skill set I don't think is going anywhere for Carson Palmer.
You never.
I think he's only gotten better.
Never know.
No, you're absolutely right though. You never know. You
Mikey.
never know.
Number 4.
Number 4, this is where I have Drew Brees for, one of the best fantasy quarterbacks out there. We've already explained him in, earlier in the show, but, I mean, like I said, almost 4,900 yards passing last year, 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and I think he could repeat that.
Right.
Honestly, so We'll see. I mean, it just sucks that he has such a bad defense, but then again, it could be good for fantasy quarterbacks, like you've said, because of the shootouts.
Right.
So that could be a big reason why he almost had 5,000 yards passing last year. I think also in that game against the Giants, I'm pretty sure he threw up 7 touchdowns as well, because that score was 52-49.
Yes, sir.
So it all makes sense.
It does all make sense. My number 4 quarterback is Russell Wilson. I just love his accuracy. Last year, 34 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. That's balls on, spot on accuracy and a great ratio. Good for 110 passer rating in the NFL. He's going to put up monster numbers for you for fantasy. There's no doubt about it. Going into the top 3, here's where I got a little bone to pick with you fellas. Where the hell is Andrew Luck on your list? I know he sucked last year. I get it. He had a swoon in production. He had a lot of injury problems going on, but he's coming into camp healthy, and I expect to see the guy in 2014 that threw for almost 4,800 yards and had 40 touchdowns. I mean, did you forget about that guy?
Yeah.
Because he's still there.
Yeah. Is he still there, or are we going to get to see the same Andrew Luck that we saw last year?
I mean, my prediction is 2 years ago. Yeah, he had a down year due to injury. That's the way I look at it.
That's the main reason why I kept him out of my top 10 was because of his injuries and his lack of production last year.
Even before his injury, he looked kind of sloppy last year. So that's more the reason why. Believe me, it was hard, but I'm thinking when I look at these guys, I could see more fantasy value between these guys, and it's hard. Luck is like right there. He's like 11, 12, maybe. I don't know. I might throw in a Derek Carr before I throw in Andrew Luck.
No, I get it,
I
man.
wouldn't go that far.
I mean, he only played 7 games last year, and he played in all 16 in both 2012, 13, and 14. And you look at the completion percentage; it did go down. So this does support your argument. It went down from 61.7% to 55.3%. Which is a noticeable drop off. A lot of drop passes from one T.Y. Hilton. I think had a little something to do with that as well. Dante Moncrief had a bit of the dropsies as well.
But he also had Andre Johnson, who brought in a great veteran presence.
Yeah, this is true. And that's why last year really mind-boggled me. It certainly cost me several leagues that I had Andrew Luck in. But I'm not ready to give up on him yet. He's only 26 years old. I think he'll bounce back this year, and that's why I have him at number 3. I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. Gentlemen, Mike, who you want to start off with number 3?
Number 3, this is where I have Russell Wilson. Like we said, 4,000 passing yards last year, 34 touchdowns, low rate of interceptions with 8. And, like I said about Jimmy Graham before, I think those two are going to have a greater bond this year since they're going to be working together with the full season, hoping that Jimmy Graham will come back healthy from that patella tear. So we'll see. To me, I think Russell Wilson's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think sometimes he does get a little bit too much of an overhype, but he is good. Like we said, I love mobile quarterbacks because they can get the job done. They can run away from that big, fat, sloppy defenseman. So
I don't know. Some of those big, fat, sloppy defensemen are quick.
They could outrun me, I could bet. And they got 150 pounds on me,
Nice. Brian, you're number 3.
This is where I put Cam Newton. Cam Newton, it's enough said there. Probably the best mobile quarterback in the NFL. What did you say? Almost 1,000 yards rushing last year.
He had almost 650.
650 rushing yards, 10 rushing TDs, 35 passing TDs. His accuracy needs a little bit of work, but you're getting Kelvin Benjamin back. It should open up the passing game a little bit more, and you're going to see more of a passer out of Cam Newton this year, I think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I had him to stay true with our top 30 rankings, which if you out there didn't catch our top 30 overall rankings, the past 3 shows, consecutive weeks, last week, the week before that, go rewatch, get prepared for your fantasy leagues. F. Matthew Berry. We know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, screw his 28-hour fantasy show.
Yeah. What the hell is time to watch that? We give it to you jam-packed, hour and a half max.
Exactly.
Right. But so I had Cam Newton as my second overall our quarterback, and I believe I had him at 27 overall. And then Aaron Rodgers I have as my number 1 quarterback, who I had number 20 overall. So I'm going to stay consistent with that, and I'm going to keep that ranking. And, it coincides with what the people thought with Aaron Rodgers, so that's cool. I'm good with that. So, yeah, I just wanted to give my top two, gentlemen. Feel free.
I mean, I'm the same way with you. I have Rodgers 1, Newton 2, so I'm right there with you on that. So there's really not too much more to explain about it because it's already been explained from last week and the week before and this week now. So.
Right, absolutely. And if you missed the very beginning of our show, we broke down the intangibles, the ratings, all the facets. Maybe you can finish the show, go back to the beginning, or go back to the beginning right now.
Yeah.
Anything you want to do, we're truly on demand.
Anything counts.
Yes, absolutely. Brian, you top two?
Well, obviously number 1's Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Number 2, I got Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, number 2?
Despite the suspension, when he comes back in week 6 or week 5 or whenever he decides to come back or whenever they have their bye week, which is
I'm not 100% sure what their bye week is. I think it might be actually week 5. I'm not mistaken.
Well, whenever he comes back, he's gonna come out and he's gonna do what Tom Brady does. He's gonna come out and he's gonna throw touchdowns. That's all he does.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with you. It's hard because you're losing him for that first 4 games, and the playoffs usually start week 14. So you're only going to get a good, 9 weeks out of him. So that's the only issue I have with that. But for all the right reasons, like you said, he's going to throw up monster numbers when he comes back. So.
Oh yeah, the guy averages 40, depending on the league you're in, 40 points a game.
Right.
Yeah.
He's still going to do it.
He'll do it for you. He knows how to pick apart defenses. So.
Actually, their bye week is week number 9, so he will be eligible to come back October the 9th in week 5 with them on the road at Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go. He's going to have 4 touchdowns and 500 yards passing week 5. So
I know the Browns have a decent secondary. I don't know.
They suck.
Yeah, you're right.
They suck. Considering Ben's only lost to them, I think, twice in his career, they suck.
They suck. They really, really suck. You know who doesn't suck? The Scanzano Sports Center.
Very true.
They get your game in shape. You can go visit them 5 Carnegie Plaza, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-889-3434. Look them up online, scanzanosports.com. So we've dominated the show with fantasy football. Let's make a little segue. We're going to make a little segue to a little fantasy baseball talk. One thing got to mention here right away is just god-awful news again for Giancarlo Stanton. He has been dubbed out for the year. And just to give the specifics in case you don't know, Stanton tweaked his groin following an at-bat Saturday night. That Saturday, just to give the date and time, would be August the 13th. I should remember that. That's my brother's birthday. By the way, Joe, if you're listening out there, happy birthday, man. Happy 49th. We had a great time on Saturday. Definitely. Chindan, God bless you. Have another 49 years if you want. But anyway, Stanton tweaked his groin following an at-bat Saturday night, and the news began to look ominous when it was announced he would end up on the DL early Sunday morning. The team sent him for an MRI, and the results concluded a worst-case scenario, a grade 3 strain that carries a 6-week timetable and likely ends the season. The Marlins may eventually look to a replacement to fill the huge void left by Stanton's bat, but in the short term, Ichiro Suzuki will take over in right field. It's a devastating blow for Miami squad. It's a devastating blow for any Giancarlo Stanton fantasy owners out there. So they talked about they may be looking into a replacement. Will that replacement be Alex Rodriguez playing first base?
No.
No?
I would love to see it happen, but I really don't see it. And that's the same thing that Pedro Gomez was talking about on ESPN. He's like, where is he going to play? So it's just...
I say you play him at first base. I think A-Rod, even at this point in his career, would be an upgrade over Chris Johnson.
Could be, yeah, but...
you're going to get power numbers out of A-Rod, but, if you look at that roster right now, they got pretty good players in every single position. They're not really lacking anywhere.
Has he ever played
obviously
first
you lost.
base?
I don't think he has. I think he's always just played the left side of the diamond.
So it's...
Or right side, depending on your point of view.
It would be a new position. He's got to learn to scoop.
Yeah.
I know he's been working with the hot corner, but scoop's a whole nother ballgame.
He may be retired, but doesn't he have a job with the Yankees now? Isn't he
I would leave the
their
Yankees
special
after,
advisor or something?
Well, I'm glad you bring this up, Brian, because there's been so much mixed reports on this, right? But a spokesperson from Alex Rodriguez commented on the possibility of A-Rod playing for any other team this season. Forget about Miami, any other team. comes out and says it's not happening. He's got a job. He wants to stay in the Yankee family, and that job goes to the end of 2017. Now, granted, we talked about this last week, Mikey. If the Marlins gave him enough of an offer, I think he would have to take it in his pursuit of 714 homers. So it's weird. You got ESPN analyst Jim Bowden, who's a former GM in this league, making a foregone conclusion that the Marlins will sign Alex Rodriguez and that A-Rod will play first base. This is where I got my information from.
I don't see it. I mean, usually they're treating him a little bit like Jeter. Once a Yankee, always a Yankee. We want to keep you here. We don't want you to play anywhere. I mean, he retired for a reason, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be released. I don't think he wants to play anywhere else. I mean, if he was willing to still want to play baseball, I think he would have taken the outright release and went and signed somewhere else.
If he was like Jeter, where he was drafted by the Yankees and was there the whole time, I would give your argument credo. But he came up with the Mariners.
No, I mean, I know,
I get it. A lot of time in
but
Texas.
I mean, he was such a big part of the Yankees for such a long time. You could
right.
still make that argument.
No. I mean, that's the argument that a spokesperson is making, and
right.
I get that. But in terms of him being that type of loyal like Jeter, nah. I could see him. He's from Miami. He's never, it'd be great playing in his old stomping grounds, so to speak. And in terms of learning first base, I think he can do it. I'm going to look up and see if he's ever played it in his career right now, but I think he could do it.
I know he's played shortstop and third base. That's about it off the
that's
top
really
of my head.
all
He
I remember, but
came up as a shortstop with the Mariners, I want to say.
Oh, absolutely.
And then I think he moved over to third base when he went to Texas.
No, with the Yankees. On account of Jeter. Jeter was going to stay as short. Even though at the time, I think Alex Rodriguez was a better shortstop than Jeter, but you're not upseating the captain in his position.
No. Exactly.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think if Jeter, if A-Rod still wanted to play, I think he would have taken his outright release and went and signed with somebody, maybe a contender who needs probably stay in the AL, bat as a DH.
Yeah.
Oh, he played 2 games in 2015 for the Yankees at first base.
Really? But that's his whole career? Just 2 games?
Yeah, his whole game. But you think about he had to have practiced to get to that point. So there is.
I mean, the guy's a
familiarity.
professional baseball player. I think he could pick up on a position in one day.
Yeah, a couple games.
He probably doesn't even need
repetition.
to, really practice. It's just,
I think the only thing he would really need
see
to practice
the ball.
if he moved out to the outfield.
Yeah, well,
This is what they
he's
did
not
with
running.
Ashley.
He's not running. I could tell you that. He's too old to run.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If he wanted to keep playing, he wouldn't have retired. He would have taken his outright release. He would have signed with another AL contender and would have been a DH, maybe Cleveland or something.
Absolutely. Well, we'll get back into this discussion a little bit. We still have our fantasy baseball ad recommendations to go. We want to talk a little Rio Olympics before we end the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now. But paying the bills is the BMW of Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway or online at bmwatlanticcity.com. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey, with over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com. Rob Povia, Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, Matt Sensudi on the ones and twos, bringing you all the dominance. If you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. You got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. So we left off where we were talking, the Stanton injury, who's going to replace him. One guy that I have in mind that I think, and it's hard because he can be inconsistent, but right now, over the last 15 games, he's been putting up pretty monster numbers, and that's Jock Peterson, Los Angeles Dodgers. He's only owned in 53.6% of leagues, and he's had 2 homers in the past 2 games, unfortunately, against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sorry to rub it in there, Mikey. But Jock Peterson, I think, would be a good replacement for Giancarlo Stanton owners.
I think so too, especially if he's putting up those numbers and he's starting to swing a hot bat. I know earlier in the season he had a rough start to the season, but if he's starting to come around, I would snatch him up if he's available.
Absolutely. Maybe even a guy that Mike traded to me and I subsequently let go due to an injury, Miguel Sanu. He's had 42.5 points over the last 15 games, and what's most importantly, an MRI taken on Sanu's sore elbow Monday did come back clean. So it was just precautionary MRI, but the scan did not reveal any setback of a specific sort. So, the results are positive, but it remains to be seen whether Sanu will be in the lineup for the Twins next game. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. If I had a choice between the two, I would go Jock Peterson. Miguel Sanu has so much upside, though.
Yeah, no, Peterson's definitely the guy to go to, for sure.
For shizzle.
Yeah. But another outfielder that, has been pretty hot as of recently is Jason Worth.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's only 33.2% owned. He has extra base hit in his 4 out of his last 5 games. He hit the blast last night, and he's been averaging pretty good numbers. His last 15, he's only got 40 points, not compared to what Peterson has, but like I said, he's been hot as of late, and he's had extra base hits in 4 of his last 5 games. So
nice. Yeah, that's a good pick. Pick him up while he's hot because he's very streaky.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say the same about the guy I was thinking about using as an ad recommendation. I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, Ryan Howard's been swinging a really hot bat as of late. since the All-Star break, he's been batting almost 400.
Right.
He had a grand slam the other night. He went 2 for 3, 3 for 5. He had a really good series against the Rockies. I know that. But he's swinging hot bat. His slugging percentage is still well over 400. I mean, yeah, he strikes out a lot, but when the guy makes contact, the ball travels.
Right.
He's either going to get you a double or he's going to get you a home run if he makes contact.
See, he'd be good for like daily fantasy leagues if you know like he's getting the start that day, or if you're in a daily league where you can plug and play guys and you see him starting because he doesn't start regularly. It doesn't make him like a great fantasy baseball resource, but certainly for the daily leagues, and we're here to cater to the daily leagues. Of course.
and that's kind of why I took it away. I was like, maybe I shouldn't. But the guy, he's swinging a hot bat, but it's like you said, you never know when he's actually going to start.
Absolutely. On the pitching side of the rubber, so to speak, guy that you could pick up right now, Martin Perez, Texas Rangers, has a great lineup behind him. He's only owned in 11.6% of leagues. Just put up a nice dominant performance against Oakland on Monday, and he starts on Sunday at Tampa Bay, who can't beat their way out of a wet paper bag. So he's a good man to pick up. Also, the return of Carlos Rodon, who disappeared a lot this year, and certainly his velocity did, but now he's really averaged. He's gotten over his past couple games, averaging over 95 miles per hour, and often frequently nearing that 100 mile an hour. So he's got that velocity back. He starts Thursday at Cleveland. I think that's a good start, and he's coming off a nice start against the Miami Marlins. Then that was before Stanton went down. So, you know, those are two pitchers that I would go out and get right now. But, gentlemen, with like roughly 4 minutes left in the show, just going to let the listeners know about, once again, the BMW Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to. Minutes off of exit 37 off the Parkway, or online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen?
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's Maddie.
Yeah, I'm here to give you guys your medal count for today. I'll start it off before I get to the top 5. The host country, Brazil, they have 10. They're tied for 14th place with Kazakhstan with 2 golds, 4 silvers, and 4 bronze. Top 5, Japan at 5 with 27 medals, 7 golds, 4 silvers, and 16 bronze. Russia's at 4 with 11 golds, 12 silvers, and 13 bronze with 36 medals in total. Great Britain is number 3 with 16 golds, 17 silvers, 8 bronze for 41 in total. China is number 2 with 15 golds, 14 silvers, and 18 bronze for a total of 47. And the United States of America is number 1 with 27 gold, 24 silver, 26 bronze, leading all categories in medals with 77 total.
Well, USA just kicked ass in the pool.
I don't think I've ever
The
seen like a
pool
medal
especially. What's her name? Ledecky. She was.
Yeah, she was Katie Ledecky.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, so Simone Biles, the gymnast too.
Yep.
Yeah.
The whole gymnast team, they've won a lot of medals. You know.
The Final 5.
Yeah. Allie Raisman. You know, Lori Hernandez.
Gabby Douglas.
She sucked this year. She got the team medal. I think that's the only medal she actually won was the team medal.
Yeah.
But she fell apart this year. I forget what the little white girl's name is.
I don't know.
It's Madison something. I don't know what her last name is.
Everybody forgets about the little white girl.
Yeah. I just know she's from Texas.
I mean, Gabby Douglas is really the only name that I know from gymnastics, but I'm not big into the Summer Olympics. I'm more of a Winter Olympics guy.
No, I agree. But, I mean, this year has just been phenomenal for the U.S. participants. I mean, like Maddie said, 77 medals so far. It's probably the most I've ever seen in the Olympics from one nation. So,
and they were worried.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still worried about basketball. Shit, they're not closing out games like they're supposed to.
They almost lost to the Aussies.
Yeah, they almost lost to France. They almost lost to Serbia. Like, come on.
Serbia? Really? You almost lose to Serbia? Come on, boys. Come on.
They need to play China again. They were blowing them out by 50.
Play a little rope-a-dope. It's all good. You know, what's exciting is the women's. They'll be competing today on the hardcore. I mean, and also, you know, I got wrapped into a lot of the beach volleyball because I love beach volleyball. And
Ross and Jennings, they're pretty good.
Right. But now we go into the indoor volleyball game. Indoor volleyball chicks are hot. Always good viewing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But a little shout out to Usain Bolt too,
Yes.
who won the 100 meters. Only person in history to win it 3 gold medals, and he did it consecutively.
Yeah.
So a little shout out to him, and he qualified for the 200 meters. So we ran out a little bit against it. We were going to look towards Tokyo 2020. Maybe we can save that for next show.
Yeah.
But for now, for Mike Kleinkoff, Brian Daly, Matt Sensuti, I'm Rob Hobie, bringing you all the fantasy dominance. Keep it there. In an hour, you get hockey happy hour with 3 of us here in the room.
Yeah,
breaking
buddy.
down some World Cup of hockey, some more international stage. We bid you adieu for today. Happy fantasy drafting in your football leagues.